Musk has become the world's first trillionaire. Catapulted by the historic market debut of his rocket company, SpaceX, the tech mogul has officially amassed 13-figure wealth. SpaceX debuted on public markets Friday at $150 a share, locking in an unprecedented $1.97 trillion market valuation. Ahead of the first trade-in, Forbes put Musk's net worth at $982 billion. Much of his fortune comes from his electric car company, Tesla. He also co-founded the company that later became PayPal. $1 trillion is 1,000 times greater than $1 billion, and 1,000,000 times greater than $1 million. A 1 and 12 zeros, 4 commas. Still, the number 1 trillion is hard to comprehend. So let's put it in perspective. If you made $100,000 a year and saved every penny, it would take you 10 million years to match that wealth. That means you would have had to start working when early human ancestors were first walking the earth. If Musk decided to buy every single American adult a $4 iced coffee every single day, he could keep the entire country caffeinated for almost 3 years straight. His wealth will sit just shy of the gross domestic product of Poland, while completely eclipsing the entire annual economic output of Taiwan. Only about 21 countries have a GDP higher than $1 trillion today. If you divide up $1 trillion and distribute it equally to all 8.2 billion people on Earth, every single person on the planet would instantly get nearly $122. So what does he plan on doing with all that cash? Musk says he doesn't plan to spend his $1 trillion fortune solely on himself. He'll instead use it to fund a permanent human settlement on Mars, and is first counting on SpaceX to get us there.
All right, folks, we are back here on WLTH 1370 AM, the region's choice and the people's voice. It is 6:44 in the PM here on Friday, June the 19th, 2026. The future is here, the future is now, and the future is not looking so good for us here. Yes, I've spent all this time railing against the billionaires, and here we are. We've got the world's first trillionaire, Elon Musk. So I think it's time for our reoccurring segment, Lifestyles of the Rich and Shameless. Let's do it. Yes, it's time for the lifestyles of the rich and shameless of the world's first trillionaire, Elon Musk. Yes, we can't say we didn't see this coming. We've been saying that this was coming, fairly often and fairly regularly. People have predicted he'd be the first one, and he's done it. He's broken the barriers. Now, I could go into all the reasons I don't particularly care for Elon Musk, and why I don't think anybody should be a trillionaire. Hell, I don't think anybody should be a billionaire. But I think more than anything, we need to examine how we got to this point in the first place. How exactly did Elon Musk get to be a trillionaire? Well, first and foremost, he was born in Pretoria, South Africa, apartheid South Africa, to a mother who was a model and a father who was an engineer and an engineering consultant. Developed properties, especially retail and office property development. He also owned an auto parts store and at least half a share in an emerald mine. And Elon grew up actually in one of the biggest houses in Pretoria, South Africa. So this idea that Elon Musk likes to sell, just like a lot of billionaires do, that they pull themselves up from their bootstraps, is complete nonsense. In 1986, his father acquired the rights to the outputs of three Zambian emerald mines. Now, mind you, this is still apartheid South Africa here, and Southern Africa that was really still heavily colonized. Now, his father described the mines as an under-the-table operation, meaning he did not officially legally own them. Now, why didn't he legally own these emerald mines, Elon Musk? Well, in one of his interviews with Walter Isaacson, he explained if you registered it, you would wind up with nothing because the blacks would take everything from you. Yeah, that's Elon's father. So you see where his, his racist streak comes from. It doesn't just come from his father, though. Oh, no. Oh, no. Now, Elon Musk would later refer to his wealth during Elon's teen years in an interview with Business Insider South Africa, saying that he had so much money that we couldn't even close our safe, and mentioned his emerald dealings. Now, mind you, how did the Musk family get that tremendous amount of wealth? Extracting emeralds, extracting wealth from Africa, okay, and Africans. In his ex-wife, May Musk's, who is Elon Musk's mother, in her book, she recalled at the time of their divorce in 1979, her husband owned 2 homes, a yacht, a plane, 5 luxury cars, and a truck. Right. So who is Elon's mom? May Haldeman was born in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada in 1948. Her parents were Winifred Josephine Haldeman and Joshua Norman Haldeman, who was also born in Minnesota, but was the former director of Technocracy Incorporated. So what was Technocracy Incorporated? The Technocracy movement is basically a 1940s version of what his grandson Elon is doing today, which is this idea of a society run by technocrats, the most technologically advanced people in society, and the rest of us would basically be slaves. So that's where Joshua Haldeman was back in the 1940s. Now, his grandfather was incredibly racist and supported the Nazis during World War II. This led to his arrest under the Wartime Defense of Canada regulations on October 8th, 1940. Now, of course, as a Nazi supporter, Joshua Haldeman was an avowed anti-communist. So once again, whenever you see anti-communist, anti-socialist propaganda, you better be sure a Nazi or a fascist or a Nazi fascist is behind it in most instances. Haldeman objected to Technocracy Incorporated's declaration of support for the Soviet Union following the German invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941. Remember, the Soviet Union lost 30 million people fighting Hitler and the Nazis. 85% of the casualties during World War II were Russians, or at least the Soviet Union, should I say. That's what they were considered at the time. And so, of course, Joshua Haldeman, who is Elon's grandfather, was very much against the Soviet Union, supported Nazi Germany. Elon Musk, who once again is Elon's father, claimed in 2024 that Joshua Haldeman sympathized with Nazi Germany during World War II. So that's his mother's father, who is a Nazi sympathizer. His father is a white supremacist, as we just basically talked about in the lead up to this. So because the Haldemans were being persecuted for supporting the Nazis, they fled to apartheid South Africa in 1950, where Joshua Haldeman opened up a chiropractic clinic. Haldeman's move to South Africa was motivated by his support of apartheid, and he was a supporter of the ruling National Party of South Africa. Now, Elon's father talked about his wife's parents and his ex-wife's parents and family, saying that they were very fanatical in support of apartheid. These are the ideas that are shaping the world's first trillionaire. I'm just letting you guys know. In 1951, Joshua Haldeman would write an article about South Africa for a Saskatchewan newspaper, defending apartheid and writing of black South Africans. The natives are very primitive and must not be taken seriously. So again, this is a full white supremacist here. Now, Elon himself showed a lot of promise from a very early age. He showed a strong interest in computers, science, technology, all great things. That's what you want kids to be focusing on. At the age of 12, he actually created and sold a video game called Blastar. Seeking greater opportunities, Elon would actually move to Canada, which was his mother's homeland, in 1989, and later attended Queen's University in Ontario. He would transfer to the United States, the University of Pennsylvania, where he earned degrees in physics and economics. Very impressive. After graduation, he briefly enrolled in a PhD program in physics at Stanford University, but left only after a few days to pursue opportunities in the rapidly growing internet industry. Now that's important because he was here on a student visa. He was here on a student visa. He was not supposed to be doing what he was doing. Right. He was supposed to be in school. In 1995, him and his brother, Kimbrel Musk, and Greg Curry founded Zip2, a web software company with funding from a group of angel investors. They housed the venture at a small rented office in Palo Alto. Now, Musk is very sensitive. Elon's very sensitive about people crediting his father and his family's wealth in helping him to create his success. He has denounced the notion that they started their company with funds borrowed from Elon Musk, but in a recent tweet, he said he did at least capitulate and state that his father contributed 10% of a later funding round. Now, Elon Musk is known as one of the biggest critics of illegal immigration in this country. As we speak, he is somebody who has been very much in support of the draconian, racist, fascistic policies and the actions of ICE in this country. And I have to say, like, to keep it 100, look, I'm no fan of illegal immigration either. I don't support mass immigration, you know, from a sheerly perspective of drives down wages for working class and poor people. But what ICE has turned into is blatantly criminal and fascistic. We're definitely going to talk about that on a later show, because I definitely want to get into ICE. But this isn't the week to do it. But for Elon, he was working in this country illegally while on a student visa, according to the Washington Post. His brother, Kimbrel Musk, has stated that they were illegal immigrants. So mind you, this is the guy who's, you know, literally helping to push a fascist agenda of ICE, who are actually killing American citizens at this point in the name of cleansing our streets of illegal immigration, when it comes to the light that he himself was an illegal immigrant. And that's not me saying it. This is his brother, Kimbrel Musk. They were working together. This is what Kimbrel Musk had to say.
David, for us to hear, we'll give you $3 million.
Yeah, it sounded extremely, we thought they were crazy. Like, why would they do that?
It was literally like, these people are insane.
They obviously do not realize we're sleeping in the office.
In fact, when they did fund us, they realized that we were illegal immigrants.
Well, I mean,
yes, we were.
I'd say it's a gray area.
Yeah, yes, we were. We were illegal immigrants. We were sleeping in the office. We didn't have a car. We had one car, but the wheel kept falling off.
But, well, actually, yeah.
Yeah, that's Kimbrel Musk and Elon joking about how they were illegal immigrants when they were making money here. So once again, Elon Musk is not just stirring up the hornet's nest about immigration in America. He's doing it all over the world now, when he himself was an illegal immigrant who was supposed to be in America on a student visa and instead was doing something he shouldn't have been doing and violating America's laws. Now, the company that they created, Zip2, ultimately ended up being bought by Compaq for $307 million. Using the proceeds from the sale of Zip2, Musk would co-found X.com, which is an online financial services company, X.com would later merge with another firm and become PayPal, a pioneer in digital payments. Now, a lot of people claim that Elon Musk invented PayPal or created PayPal. He did not. He did not create PayPal. FieldLink Inc., PayPal, was founded by Max Levchin, Peter Thiel, another person we're going to talk about in the near future, and we've talked about in the past because he runs, I forgot what company, but we'll get into Peter Thiel at some other point. Luke Nosek. So those are the people who actually founded PayPal. The reason that they merged with Elon Musk was so that they could delete the competition. That was it, to undercut their competition and corner the market on online payment digital services. Now, due to resulting technological issues and a lack of a cohesive business plan, the board would actually kick Elon Musk out of the company and replace him with Peter Thiel. And in 2002, PayPal was acquired by eBay for $1.5 billion, which is the equivalent of $2.7 billion in 2025 monies. Now, because Elon was the largest shareholder with almost 12% of the shares, he ended up getting a cool $175 million, which is the equivalent of $320 million in today's monies. So again, Elon did not found PayPal. A lot of the sort of billionaire, trillionaire mythology is, well, they have all the ideas. They create all this stuff. Elon Musk didn't create PayPal. He also didn't create a lot of he didn't create Tesla either. That's important to state as well. In 2002, he actually founded SpaceX with the goal of reducing the cost of space travel and eventually enabling human settlement of Mars. Okay. They attempted their first launch of the Falcon 1 rocket in 2006. It failed to reach Earth's orbit. But still, Elon was rewarded with a commercial orbital transportation services program contract from NASA. Who is NASA? NASA's the American government. Our government gave him that contract. That is our tax dollars. After 2 more failed attempts, so he failed 3 times. SpaceX succeeded in launching the Falcon 1 orbit into space into 2008. Okay, and this is important because once again, it's Elon's brother Kimbrell who tells the truth. He tells the truth about where Elon was financially before he was bailed out by the American government. So this is what Elon and his brother were going through in 2007, 2008 at their lowest moment.
He hit rock bottom. His first rockets failed to reach orbit, and an early model Tesla Roadster had quality problems.
In 2008, the rocket company is not going well. You've had 3 failures.
Great.
The car company is hemorrhaging money.
Yeah.
And the American economy has tanked in the worst recession since the Great Depression.
Right.
What was that year like for you?
And I'm getting divorced, by the way, to add to that. That was definitely the worst year of my life.
That terrible year was captured in a documentary called Revenge of the Electric Car. His plant was filled with flawed cars that couldn't be delivered.
Cars we rejected for,
Holy mackerel. Jesus. We have like an army of cars here. Like, Jesus.
I'm looking like we're going to be able to deliver 4 cars to the sales team.
This is frightening. It's really pedal to the metal here. Like, I mean, you know, each month that passes is literally costs us tens of millions of dollars. I mean, we need to appreciate that.
To save Tesla, Musk needed millions more from investors. His fortune was gone.
When we'd call people and say, hey, would you like to invest? They'd be angry that we just called. It's like, no, it's not only no, and, you
various expletives.
He was essentially broke.
Oh yeah, in debt, more than broke.
More than broke.
Yeah.
I remember waking up the Sunday before Christmas in 2008 and thinking to myself, man, I never thought I was someone who could ever be capable of a nervous breakdown. But I felt this was the closest I've ever come, because it seemed pretty dark.
T-minus 30 seconds, mark.
Toward the end of 2008, SpaceX prepared its fourth attempt.
We were running on fumes at that point. We had virtually no money.
So a fourth failure...
A fourth failure would have been absolutely game over.
Done.
Done.
SpaceX bankrupt.
Yeah, it's bad enough to have 3 strikes. Having 4 strikes, it's really kaput.
But Flight 4 was flawless. In Musk's world, it lit the darkness. Then, as often, the week of Christmas became a time when little boy dreams are answered.
NASA called and told us that we'd won a $1.5 billion contract. And I couldn't even hold the phone. It's like, I just blurted out, I love you guys.
They saved you.
Yeah, they did.
Financially and maybe even emotionally.
I'll tell you what, that was definitely helpful. Yeah.
Now that's important to listen to right there. Elon Musk right there admits that the U.S. government saved him financially and emotionally. Keep that in your back pocket. They saved him. He, as his brother Kimbrel, apparently the only person capable of telling the truth, one of the few people capable of telling the truth, he was worse than broke. He was massively in debt before our tax dollars bailed him out. Now, SpaceX would succeed in launching Falcon 1 into orbit, and they would receive $1.6 billion in a NASA contract for the Falcon 9 launch Dragon spacecraft flights to the International Space Station, replacing the space shuttle after its 2011 retirement. In 2024, NASA would award SpaceX an $843 million contract to build a spacecraft that NASA will use to deorbit the ISS at the end of its lifespan. Now, it's important to say that we now know that SpaceX has claimed that $2 billion in tax breaks that they think the IRS would reject if they got audited would be on their books. So this is why Elon Musk wanted the IRS to fund it. This is why he wanted the IRS to fund it. He knows that a lot of tax breaks, once again, and this is after being bailed out by us and our tax dollars. So, not just SpaceX, but Tesla as well. Tesla was not founded by Elon Musk, just like PayPal wasn't. It was incorporated by Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning. Both men played active roles in the company's early development way before Elon got involved. He joined Tesla in 2004 as an early investor and later would become the CEO. Now, he essentially staged a coup from the inside and pushed Eberhard and Tarpenning out. There was actually a big defamation lawsuit against Elon that was settled in 2009 against from Eberhard and Tarpenning. And so what do you know? In January 2010, Tesla would receive $465 million in a government loan from the Department of Energy's Loan Program Office. Now, how does he repay America for getting bailed out? Once again, getting loans, from getting bailed out. He has expressed huge opposition to unions, to labor unions. He exploits his workers. He exploits the American people. The same people whose tax dollars made it possible for him to do what he's doing because he was worse than broke. Tesla has had labor disputes all over the country and including in Germany and Sweden as well, including an ongoing strike in Sweden, where the mechanics, who are the members of the trade union IF Metal, have been on strike since 2023, making it the longest strike in Sweden since 1938. And it's not just them. The strike has since spread, with other Swedish and Danish and Norwegian unions calling for strikes in solidarity with the Swedes who are working at their Tesla plants there. So you don't get to be as rich as Elon Musk by paying your workers correctly, by, you know, having all the best ideas, or just being the most successful businessman in the world. You do it through capturing the government and government handouts and government loans. And in spite of that, Tesla still isn't even a safe place to work. Between 2014 and 2018, Tesla's Fremont factory had 3 times as many occupational safety and health administration violations as the 10 largest U.S. auto plants combined. In 2019, former Tesla security manager Sean Guthrow filed a whistleblower complaint alleging the company had hacked employees' phones and spied on them, while also failing to report illegal activities to the authorities and shareholders. The California Civil Rights Department filed a suit in 2022 alleging a pattern of racial harassment and bias at the same factory. And as of 2023, the department is also conducting a probe of the factory based on a 2021 complaint, and claims that Tesla has been obstructing the investigation. So Tesla does not respect its workers, does everything it can to keep them from unionizing and having rights. They are engaging in literal racial discrimination against black people, and they're not even safe. According to Jalopnik, a study by IC Cars found that Tesla had the highest fatal car rate of any automaker in the United States. A 2025 lawsuit in California is alleging that Tesla odometers were falsely exaggerating their readings to prematurely void their warranty. This is how you become the world's richest man. This is how you become a trillionaire. In 2025, Tesla faced federal investigations into possible safety defects in its FSD system. This followed 44 separate incident reports where Tesla drivers said the system caused them to commit safety violations, such as driving through red traffic lights. Wow. You get killed like that. And not only that, there's been allegations of fraud. Fortune accused Tesla in 2016 of using creative accounting to show positive cash flow and quarterly profits. In 2018, analysts expressed concern over Tesla's accounts receivable balance. A hedge fund manager named David Einhorn, whose firm suffered losses from its short position against Tesla in that quarter, accused Musk in November of 2019 of significant fraud and questioned publicly whether Tesla's accounting practices, whether their accounts receivable even exist. Also in 2019, the EPA fined Tesla for hazardous waste violations that occurred in 2017. And in 2024, 25 counties would sue Tesla, accusing the company of violating state health codes and safety codes by illegally disposing of hazardous waste. Tesla has faced numerous complaints regarding workplace harassment and racial discrimination. Over 100 former employees have submitted signed statements alleging that the company discriminates specifically against African Americans. Now, mind you, this is a guy from apartheid South Africa, whose father literally owned an under-the-table emerald mine racket to exploit black workers there, and said that he couldn't put it on the books because the blacks would take everything. And his grandfather was a literal Nazi sympathizer who moved to apartheid South Africa because he was too racist to live in Canada. Most of their employees who bring these allegations are made to sign arbitration agreements, which brings us to Doge. Brings us to Doge. Elon would donate over $290 million to help Donald Trump get elected. Now, why would he do that? Maybe it's because the morning that Donald Trump was sworn in, Elon's companies were facing over $2 billion in legal exposure across 11 agencies. So what happens when Trump gets elected? He hands Elon the power over these same agencies that are looking into him for all these violations at his businesses, at Tesla, at SpaceX, at all these places. Within the first quarter, 6 of the regulators investigating Elon's companies were either cut, closed, or told to stand down. Elon's promises that Doge would save taxpayers over $1 trillion have massively fallen short. And a big part of the reason is that of the 17 inspector generals who usually would return $26 of wealth for every dollar spent and catch many of these things that are happening in Elon's companies or in companies at large, they've been laid off. They've been laid off. So nobody's minding the store. And now, because of a lot of the cuts that Elon made, we've essentially doomed ourselves to, I don't know if you guys have been watching this, but we have a screwworm infestation in the southern United States because a lot of the beef that is coming in here from south of the border is infected with screwworm. And we had these regulatory agencies whose job it was to protect our food that were coming in here. Elon and Donald Trump cut them. These pests are already bearing down on Texas and New Mexico, and at least 12 infections already identified in the United States as of last Tuesday. And so now the Trump administration is going to have to spend at least $1 billion to fight screwworm, which was a pandemic we hadn't had in many years. But thanks to Doge and Elon Musk cutting so many of the regulators that would inspect these types of things, now we're going to have to deal with screwworm again. The annual U.S. Department of Agriculture, Lord forgive me, spending to combat the flesh-eating screwworms only amounted to $15 million per year. But it was terminated in March of 2025 as part of Doge's effort to root out government waste. This is how you become a trillionaire. Now, it's important to state that the Pentagon, which has over $1 trillion budget, which is really where most of our money is wasted, where they're paying thousands of dollars for a screwdriver, Elon has not touched that. He never touched that. They also did not touch the $40 billion in government contracts that Elon himself has with the government. Big surprise, right? They didn't find any government waste there, did they? I think it's important to state that Elon Musk has gotten $800 billion, not 800 million, $800 billion richer since Donald Trump got elected, and is now worth over $1 trillion. But that's not good enough for him. He also wants to cut Social Security and Medicare by $500 to $700 billion a year. That's not me saying it. That's him saying it.
The waste report in entitlement spending, which is most of the federal spending is entitlements. So that's like the big one to eliminate. Because that's the sort of $500 billion, maybe $700 billion a year.
So yeah, that's Social Security, that's Medicaid. People are surviving off of that. But that's what he sees as waste. The stuff that essentially protects us from screwworm and our Social Security and our Medicare and Medicaid. As of February of 2026, the Trump administration's pause and termination of foreign aid programs conducted with the assistance of Doge has led to an estimated 800,000 deaths. So whenever people tell me billionaires and trillionaires aren't hurting anybody, well, Elon Musk is personally responsible for 800,000 deaths just in the last year, thanks to cutting supposedly wasteful foreign aid. We've seen an Ebola outbreak ravage sub-Saharan Africa again that they just can't get a handle on. A Lancet, which is a medical journal, a study from the Lancet projected an additional 14 million all-age deaths by 2030, including more than 4 million children younger than the age of 5. That's how you become a trillionaire, folks. That's how you become the world's richest man. And if all that isn't enough, he's gone back to his roots, folks. He's gone back to his roots, his racist apartheid-era South Africa roots. He used to be a Democrat. I always tell liberals about this. This is one of the reasons why I have an issue with liberals. Elon Musk was a liberal up until 2022. He supported Joe Biden. He voted for a Republican for the first time just a few years ago. But he was able to switch seamlessly from Democrat to Republican because both parties are there to protect capital, not the people. To protect capital. We already told you Elon Musk was an illegal immigrant in this country himself, but nobody spends more time amplifying more racist, anti-immigrant, slander, disrespect, dishonesty than him on X. I see quite a bit of it on X on a pretty daily basis. And it's having real effects. Dozens of people have been burned out of their homes after Elon Musk used X to incite anti-immigrant mobs in Ireland. They're literally creating pogroms in Ireland to assault and burn immigrants out of their homes. On January 22nd, Elon Musk said whites are a rapidly dying minority. On January 9th, he wrote true in a quote tweet of a post that claimed that white people would be slaughtered as a minority and that white solidarity is the only way to survive. Oh man, his grandfather would be proud. On January 16th, he reposted a right-wing influencer's post claiming white genocide is the official Democratic Party platform. And so here we are. That's how you become the world's richest human being in history. You be a racist. You be a racist, union-busting, crony capitalist. Destroys the environment. Foments racial strife across the world, while at the same time filling your pockets with taxpayer money. Before I go, I just got to let you know that wealth has tripled for the billionaire class. Meanwhile, for the American people, 75% cannot afford a median-priced home. 70% live paycheck to paycheck. 140 million people are poor or low income, and 100 million Americans have medical debt. But hey, we got our first trillionaire, folks. Just saying. All right, folks. It's been a heavy first. We're deep into the second hour. Oh my God. I didn't know I was gonna talk about Elon so long. He just gave me so much. He gave me so much to talk about. But we gotta lighten the mood, folks. Let's have some happy happies when we get back. Please stay with us here on Straight Out of the Cannon here on WLTH 1370M. That is 92.7 in the FM dial. If you're nasty.